If week one was any indication of how the Giants season is going to go, it is going to be a very, very long one. And it has really been a tough, I'll go as far as to say last decade as a Giant fan, which of course before that had some of the greatest memories as me as a sports fan. I mean, forget about just the Giants in general, just overall, winning those 2 Super Bowls. And the Giants were a team that generally were a successful franchise. And I know this is only week one, but I definitely think that there's no reason to think that the Giants are really going to be taking any major steps forward. Now, it's 1 out of 17, right? They added a game this year. Things can change quickly. No question about it. But if you're going to play like this home against Denver, and no disrespect to Denver, because I think that, they're not terrible. They're definitely not. But if that's going to be the performance, then how are you going to do against what I would call better competition? And so this trend continues where the Giants, to start the season, they don't win. The main theme here is that they are always playing catch-up every season, except 2016. So the one time they make the playoffs, they got off to a great start that year. If memory serves me correct, I believe they started 3-0. Certainly at least 2-0. I know that. And that helped. And they finished 11-5. Other than that, the Giants are starting 0-2 at a bare minimum just about every season. And we might be headed there again as Giants play Washington, who also lost, as that'll be a quick turnaround Thursday night. But yeah, so this game featured the return of Saquon Barkley. And Saquon, I can't be too tough on him, but he wasn't very effective. Some of the tendencies that I saw were some that I had witnessed before he went down. And I know that he's a home run hitter type of running back, but there's just a little bit too much kind of waiting for that big hole and not enough just sort of churning out the yards. But again, we'll give his evaluation a little bit more of a fair grade as we move forward. But, it featured a lot of debuts. Kenny Golladay, Adoree Jackson. Of course, new rookies. Some got more playing time than others. But there's just a lot of alarming trends. The biggest, and we'll get into sort of some key plays in this game and what led to the Giants losing. But a couple of things. The poor play calling is definitely going to continue with Jason Garrett. And he's not the only one to blame. I think personnel-wise, there are certainly issues. But the Jason Garrett, it is so vanilla, the play calling. It is so predictable. There's a lack of creativity. And I don't even think you're playing into Daniel Jones' strengths. I mean, Daniel Jones, he throws a good deep ball. And it was ironic because Pat Shurmur, Daniel Jones' first head coach, was on the other end of this game. He was the offensive coordinator for the Broncos. Whatever they were doing worked. And that leads me into the defense. Really, really, really bad job by the defense today. To me, that's the biggest takeaway, actually, if we're being fair about this game, was the defense did not get really much of any pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, which isn't that much of a surprise. Again, the pass rush for the Giants is going to be an issue. But it reminds me of last year, certainly early season last year, where the Giants' defense could not get off the field, where so many third down conversions, and not third and shorts, a lot of 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 8s. Denver finished 7 for 15 on third downs, which honestly doesn't even tell the full story. I feel like it felt worse than that. But here's the other thing. 3 for 3 on 4th downs, and some key ones at that. You got to get off the field. So the defense, to me, really let them down in a game where I felt like, all right, my expectations for the offense are not high. This is a good Denver defense. Hopefully the Giant defense against Teddy Bridgewater, making his debut with Denver, and not the best unit in football by any means, can get the job done. They did not. If I'm Patrick Graham, I'm very upset with what they put out there today. This was really just honestly putrid. And the time of possession showed that. It was 35-08 Denver to 24-52 Giants. And again, I don't even think that even tells the story. Even the final score, 27-13, the Giants got a meaningless touchdown at the end of the game. It meant nothing. The game was completely over, and they got a touchdown, with 1 second to go. As far as this game went, the Giants get the ball first. There's a big play where, and this again goes to show Daniel Jones that I think that he, when given time, he can throw a very good ball. The talent has never been something that you can really question. There's a mental thing with Jones, and really just turning the ball over, which he did again today. But he throws a very nice 42-yard pass to Darius Slayton when they jumped offside. And what I'm noticing is that they're not afraid to throw the deep ball when another team jumps offside, but it's not something that they normally just go to. Like, make that more part of the game plan. It works. So, but then from there, the Giants would have 1st and 10 at the 30, but Kadarius Toney, and it's so damn predictable. Whenever Kadarius Toney was in the game, you knew they were going to go to him. Like, maybe use him as a decoy one time. Like, it's just the defense kind of clues in on that. And so they lose 6 yards on that play. And then on 2nd and 16, they do a draw play to Devontae Booker for a negative 2-yard, play. Like, what are you doing? On 2nd and 16. And then on 3rd and 18, it was an incomplete pass to Sterling Shepard. So they would eventually have to punt. So what was a really fun play to Slayton that should have at least led to 3 points, they get nothing out of it. Denver, would punt, and then the Giants would go 3 and out, and then Denver would eventually drive the field, and it would result in a field goal where, really on this one, nothing too egregious in terms of 3rd down conversions, but the big play was a 4th and 7 at the Giant 37 where Tim Patrick converts on a 15-yard catch from Teddy Bridgewater. So that right there, 4th and 7 at the Giant 37, they could have maybe gone field goal. There's a couple of different ways they could have went, but they get a key 1st down. And the Giants would eventually kind of bend but don't break. So the Giant defense, I wasn't impressed by what they were doing, but at least they, to that point, had only given up 3 points. And then a good response by the Giants, and probably their best drive of the day, as it would be a 17-yard pass play to Kenny Golladay. And Golladay was relatively quiet. He had a drive late when the game was out of reach later. He had a really nice drive, and you could see he's so good with contested catches. That if the Giants can utilize it correctly, Golladay could definitely be a good piece to have. But if not, then it's obviously a complete waste. So then they were fortunate a little bit later on to draw a defensive pass interference penalty on a 3rd down that extended the drive. Devontae Booker had a 6-yard catch, which was then followed up by a Saquon Barkley negative 1-yard run. Again, that can't be something that continues. But then Sterling Shepard gets an 8-yard catch for a 1st down on 3rd. I thought Sterling Shepard really looked good today. I'm not sure it was because, now he's wearing number 3 instead of 87. Maybe that, sort of was an optical illusion. But he actually, I thought, looked healthy. And, the speed was there. And it seemed like the Sterling Shepard of old. And not to say that he wasn't good last year. I thought Sterling Shepard had a pretty good season last year as well. But the Giants... after that would get a 37-yard touchdown, Daniel Jones, to Sterling Shepard. So that makes it 7-3 Giants. But then what was concerning was the next drive. And what's interesting is that Denver didn't score on it, but they drove the field. And there were some 3rd down conversions in the mix here. A 3rd and 9 at the Giant 37. It was a Jerry Jeudy 11-yard catch. And then a really dumb unnecessary roughness penalty by Darnay Holmes after he got away with what could have been a helmet-to-helmet penalty on the drive where Denver got the field goal. So really dumb by Holmes. Joe Judge definitely gave it to him. And then eventually what happens is Denver fumbles. Really nice play by Logan Ryan where he strips the ball. And they said that Ryan recovered the ball inbounds and they would review it, but the call would stand. It was close, honestly. I feel like what was going to be called on the field was going to stand. But what do the Giants do? And this was one of those really fucking bad drives where they're at their own 4, Booker 1 yard, incomplete pass to Elijah Penny, and then a 2-yard pass to Kyle Rudolph. So they're punting from their own 7, up by 4 late in the half. So Denver gets the ball with a little more than 2 minutes left in the half, and they eventually do drive the field. 3rd and 8 at their own 45. It's a 6-yard pass to Jerry Jeudy, which then leads to Denver calling a timeout with 48 seconds left. Denver is at a point here when they call this timeout where they're basically sort of playing it halfway, because if obviously it's 4th and 2, so it's makeable. It's at midfield, but if you miss it and you don't convert, then you are giving the Giants the ball with relatively good field position. So that's kind of why they called the timeout when they did. Sure enough, it's a 14-yard conversion to Cortland Sutton. So that puts the ball at the Giant 35. Then it's a 17-yard completion to Jerry Jeudy, a 16-yard completion to Tim Patrick, and then on a 1st and goal to 2 with 8 seconds left, it would be Bridgewater to Tim Patrick. So you go to the half 10-7. Really rough way. Terrible job of the defense in the sense that they got lucky with the fumble recovery, then really bad job of the Giant offense to go 3 and out, and then Denver drives the field at the end of the half. Like I said, with a bunch of just 3rd and 4th down conversions, it would be really prevalent at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. So here's the old special of Denver touchdown to end the half, Denver touchdown to start the second half. And the Giants, in my mind, were basically done. I mean, they weren't. They certainly could have came back, but that was tough. Here you have a 3rd and 5 conversion at their own 30. KJ Hamler for 10 yards. And amongst this, they had the ball at midfield, and it was going to be a 50-yard touchdown to Hamler, and he drops it. So the Giants actually get lucky, but it wouldn't matter anyway, as Denver would. Like I said, there was a bunch of 3rd down conversions, a 3rd and 4 where Noah Fant makes an 8-yard catch. And then on 3rd and 7 at the 33, really tough break for Jerry Jeudy. And it's a high ankle sprain, but it's a nice catch by Jeudy. It didn't look good. It looked like it was going to be a season-ending injury, but I don't know if it actually will be. But he would be carted off the field. And they reviewed it, but Jeudy had fumbled the ball, but his knee was down. And so it's eventually a 3rd and 8 at the 11, but it's a 7-yard completion to Fant, which then makes it 4th and 1. And, of course, Teddy Bridgewater throws a 4-yard touchdown, and that gives the Broncos a 17-7 lead. And just a lot of missed tackles along the way. There was a play where Azeez Ojulari could have had a sack and wasn't quite able to reel Bridgewater in. Blake Martinez, who's normally really, a great tackler and made a lot of good plays today on that touchdown right there, was not able to get the job done. So the Giants are down 17-7, and this is a really big drive, and they're moving the ball. Again, Sterling Shepard was really kind of that catalyst. He makes a 15-yard catch, a 20-yard catch, both on 3rd downs. He was definitely getting open and making big plays. But we fast forward, and on 1st and 10 at the Denver 22, so still a lot of time left in this game, down 10 points, Daniel Jones scrambles, goes up the middle for 7 yards, and what does he do? He fumbles it. It's unacceptable. You have to secure the football. Daniel Jones needs to be a little less reckless. I like that he's not afraid to, mix it up, and he's not afraid of contact. That's a good thing, but he needs to be smarter. You got to protect the football. So he fumbles it, and Denver recovers. And I just feel like from there, it felt like any good energy that they may have had was just gone. And the next drive, Denver would get a field goal. I mean, again, it was just everyone. Jerry Jeudy gets hurt, but they had KJ Hamler have some big catches, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant. So the field goal makes it 20-7, and then the Giants would have a long drive, and this was in the 4th quarter. So still with the chance to come back, and this is where Golladay was making some catches, and eventually gets the 1st and goal to 7. Let's just go straight to that. And the play calling was so bad. These plays had no chances. It was an incomplete pass to Barkley, a 1-yard run for Barkley, an incomplete pass to Rudolph, and an incomplete pass to Golladay. This just is not going to work. It won't. And then Denver would get a 70-yard touchdown, Melvin Gordon. And it kind of showed how slow James Bradbury is. Look, James Bradbury was amazing last year. He's a great cover corner, but Melvin Gordon is not exactly the fastest running back, especially like at this stage. But Bradbury couldn't catch up to him. So that makes it 27-7. And eventually the Giants would get a extremely meaningless touchdown. And truth be told, I was done at that point in terms of watching this game, so I didn't even see it. But Daniel Jones did get a rushing touchdown. And so the final score is 27-13 Denver. It is beyond disappointing. Not that I even had high expectations, but to just lose like this. Your home opener, first time where the fans are in the building in quite some time. And this is the performance you put out there. It's very disappointing, and this will be a very interesting Washington game. The Giants usually have Washington's number, but Washington, they lost the whole game themselves. Ryan Fitzpatrick got hurt. Taylor Heineke came in. I would assume on a short week, just guessing here, that Taylor Heineke will be the quarterback, and he could be better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. He showed good moments last year down the stretch for Washington. He even in this Charger game, he seemed like he was playing pretty well, better than Fitzpatrick had been playing. So that won't be easy, but that's a really big game just right at the chute. If the Giants can somehow win that game, then definitely the thought process is improved. But if you lose it, here we are again, staring down 0-2 yet forget another season. They're going to have their hands full. Both teams are going to be highly motivated. It's a big game. The divisional games are always going to be big. And, if you're Washington, it's like we can't lose our first two games both at home. And if you're the Giants, we're coming off just simply an embarrassing performance. We can't do that again. So I don't think it's going to be a pretty game. I expect better from the defense. That's why, to me, they were the most disappointing because I have higher expectations for them. But the offense, if the Giants offense scored 24 points, that's kind of an explosion, which is really sad. If they can break 21 points, 24 points, that's a lot for them. They are really going to need to win on the strength of their defense. But I'm sure Joe Judge isn't happy. Joe Judge in this game, after the touchdown that made it 17-7, that 4th and 1, the play where I said that Blake Martinez missed the tackle, Joe Judge for some reason throws the challenge flag out there. Why, I had no idea. It was a very obvious touchdown, and all scoring plays were reviewed. And they deemed that there was nothing to review there, and Judge threw the challenge flag, and he was charged in timeout. I mean, that could have come back. They certainly lost easily, so it didn't matter. But that timeout could have burned them. So bad job by Joe Judge there. Did not like seeing that. And so, it's already beginning. And it reminds me of why Giant football just has not been something that has been all that enjoyable to watch lately. But we'll see. The season, yet again, might be slipping away just as it begins.